Welcome back to the channel, guys. Patrick here with the Northwoods Nobodies. Today we're going to take a look at the Ruger Mini-14. Rifle you see in front of you is my personal Ruger Mini-14. I bought it somewhere between, I'd say 2008 and 2010. I don't exactly remember, but it was somewhere in that range. And it was a gun that I wanted for a very long time. To me, it was always kind of that iconic American rifle that I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. It fit all the, modern fit and features of like a weird combination of an M1 Garand or an M14. And I've always enjoyed it. I've always really liked it. My favorite part of the whole thing, just that sound. I love that. So cool, such a good sound. It just, something fun's gonna happen when you do that, as long as you're behind the rifle. So this is an older rifle that does come into play because the modern Mini-14s are actually chambered in 5.56, whereas this one is chambered in 2.23. Never had a problem with it. Obviously, you have to pay attention to what ammo you have on stock and on hand. You have to have 2.23 Remington for it because you shouldn't shoot 5.56 through a 2.23 gun, but you can shoot either 5.56 or 2.23 through a 5.56 gun. Pressure differences, little things like that. So realistically, you should stick to just 2.23 Remington with this one versus 5.56. Obviously, the round is super common. We see it all over the place, even with ammo shortages that we've had. 2.23 is almost always available, so it's been fine. Quick specs and features on it. The overall length of the rifle is 38 inches long. The barrel in it is 18.5 inches, and it just ends on the end of the barrel here. There's no flash hider, muzzle brake, there's nothing to it, which comes into play when you shoot in low light situations where it can be very bright. I will put a link to our flash hider or flash signature at night video. It'll pop up here. Also put a little screenshot right here of the thumbnail. I'll have the thumbnail up here next to me, and you can see that I actually use this rifle in that thumbnail because with like standard brass ammo like what we have here, the flash isn't too giant. But you put some Wolf 223 in there, and it is very bright.
Jesus, that's what I wanted. Those are the fireballs.
The thumbnail that'll pop up here, that is here, is unedited besides a little bit of color change. That flash that came out of this rifle is everything that it was. I did nothing else to play with it, so it is quite the flash that comes out of it. The stock on this one is like a nice walnut or something. I don't know. It's a nice stock. You can get them all black, or you can get them with the stainless and the black like I have. I like the look of this rifle, just how it is. They do come with 2 5-round magazines, and then the new ones come with a pick rail, so you can put a laser or a red dot or something on there. It also comes with the scope rings, and that is important because the receiver on this one has a unique mounting spot, or a mount system, really. So it is like a proprietary scope rings. They just include them with the rifle, which is really nice. I have this one currently topped off with a Bushnell. You can see we're in kind of our zombie phase of the gun industry. So it's got that bright green, whatever, but it's the Bushnell Bone Collector 3 to 9x40. You can see that the 40mm objective lens is fairly tight on the receiver, but plenty of space there. You just really couldn't go much bigger than that. I like the scope on there. I've actually toyed with taking it off because I kind of want to bring the rifle back to just the iron sights. The iron sights on this are very nice. It's got a typical peep sight in the rear, a hooded front sight. They seem to work just fine. I've shot them a little bit before I bought the scope for it. The scope's been on it for most of the time. But like I said, I've thought about taking it off now and just rolling with iron sights and just seeing what I think of that. Yeah, chambered in 2.23 like we talked about. Now, obviously you heard the mechanism there. Just super easy, super straightforward. Let the machine do its thing like you're supposed to. So they do have bigger mags. You can buy 10 rounders, 20 rounders, even these fancy 29 rounders. And they just rock in there and lock in. So it's a little different, and unfortunately, even though they look like standard, Stenag mags, your D&H, any of your metal ones that you run in an AR, they're not the same. They're not proprietary. They're not compatible. These are a proprietary system to this setup of a rifle, similar to like a Springfield M1A, which is obviously the modern version of an M14. So you have to rock it in the front because it's got this little hole in the front and then it locks in on the back. So unfortunately they are not capable of using a standard PMag, you know, D&H Lance or any of those mags. It'd be awesome if they did. Unfortunately they don't. So magazines aren't terribly expensive, you know, compared to a PMag they are, but compared to a lot of other things we see nowadays, they're not terribly expensive. The little 5-rounders are $32.95. The 10 and the 20 rounders, which I think this one's a 20 rounder, are $42.95. And on Ruger's website, I didn't see the big fancy 29 rounder here. I don't know if they don't make them anymore or if it's an aftermarket or what, but these all work really well with it. That being said, plenty of companies make plastic mags for them and they're hot garbage. They don't work worth a damn. I bought, I think, a couple of Pro Mag ones when I first got it because the metal mags were so expensive and I didn't want to pay the money for them. I went and bought a couple of the cheap Pro Mags. They didn't work at all. Like I think I took them to the range once or twice and it was just a miserable experience. They didn't work at all. I pretty much resorted just to using the 5-rounders. The Steely mags are where it's at. Unfortunately, the plastic ones, in my experience, have not worked well. If you have a different experience with some plastic mags, put in the comments down below. Let me know what you use and what's been effective. I'd actually be really curious about that because I literally just have these 4 mags for it. So I would like to get some more magazines for it. I just haven't put the money in it right now. Safety mechanism, you can see you have your trigger down here. The safety, that's fire, that's safe. So you do have to have your finger in the trigger guard to actuate it. It's not that big of a deal as long as you do what you're supposed to do. You're not going to have any issues there. The magazine is out of it. Chamber's clear. So it does have a pretty easy trigger in it. It's got kind of a 2-stage here, a little bit of play. Pretty easy. It's a little, you know, it's a little heavier of a trigger. 4.5, 5 pounds maybe. So not terrible at all. Never been a problem. I've never had issues with accuracy with it. It has always been very good to me. Now recently, like a couple of days ago, I was listening to the Vortex Nation podcast. They do the podcast every week or whatever it was. And they actually were talking about the Mini-14 on there, which was actually super handy because I got to learn a bunch of history about the rifle that I didn't know. Just kind of a cool history thing. So I'll try and link that down below if you want to listen to that too or watch it on YouTube. It was like 30, 40 minutes, but it was good. It was pretty interesting education on it. And they were produced like starting in 1973, I believe. And apparently from 73 all the way up into like 2007, the accuracy on them really wasn't great. They had kind of a 50-50 shot of being good or being kind of a shit show. And they changed something, and I can't remember now. It's been a few days since I listened to the podcast, but they changed something in the barrel. These ones are cold hammer forged barrels now. So they either changed something in the barrel, the gas block, or the shoulder, something that they changed. I wish I could remember, I'm sorry. Really brought up the accuracy of the rifles themselves. Seeing as I bought this somewhere between 2008 and 2010, it's been very accurate for me. I haven't had any issues with it. So I got lucky in that regard. The only real downsides to the rifle in my eyes, like I said, magazines are kind of spendy, but you're getting, you know, full metal mags and all that kind of stuff. So a little spendy there. And then the overall cost of the rifle itself, the MSRP on it is $13.59, and in-store price is like $1,000 to $1,100 for a brand new one. So they are a little more expensive, especially when you're comparing to like, you know, you can get a PSA AR-15 for like 500 bucks half the time, or 600 bucks. Like they're always pretty cheap. ARs are reasonably priced at this point nowadays. So is it a direct competitor to that? Not necessarily, because of how expensive it is, having to use the proprietary mags. That being said, it's an awesome rifle. I love it. I love shooting it. It's always just, it fits well. It weighs about 7 pounds empty, so it is a little bit of a heavier gun, but it mounts very well, and it feels good. The recoil impulse isn't bad at all on it. It's a pleasant shooting gun. Obviously it's shooting .223, so it's not the heaviest of bullets. Yeah, it's just a gun that I really enjoy, and I think it's worthy of having in your collection. The barrel is a 1-in-9 twist. So I know if you're an AR guy and you've been building them, a lot of 1-in-7s and 1-in-8s go into those. I don't exactly know if the 1-in-9 makes a big difference or not. It seems to shoot just fine. Like I said, I've always been very accurate with it. I've shot it at 100 yards, maybe a little further, and it's always been fine to me there. I kind of covered all the main specs and features and costs that I can think of. The overall experience of owning it has been awesome. Like I said, I love this gun. It's never had any issues. It's never failed me. It's always worked very well. They do have quite the aftermarket market for them. Like I've seen Tapco stocks, so I believe it's just this big screw here. I think you take them out on either side and then you can slide the whole receiver assembly out. It seems very easy to take down. I don't exactly know, like I said, I've never done it, but they're actually on the Vortex podcast, they were talking about that, like just the right tool or a screwdriver and you can take it apart. And so you can put Tapco stocks on them, so they have like a collapsible stock versus just the fixed one, then they're all polymer, probably a lot lighter. Samson Manufacturing also makes the Paratrooper folder, and everybody that's over the age of like 35 is going to know that from the A-Team, because that's what they had in the A-Team, was a folding stock Mini-14. I was not the biggest fan of the A-Team. I haven't watched a lot of it, but I do know that the rifle is an iconic piece of A-Team history, and it had the folding stock on it. So at some point it would be cool to maybe change it out and do that on it, but I have just left it basically stock besides putting the optic on it. Like I said, I've thought about taking this off to just go back to the iron sights and just run it like that. It would save a little bit of weight, be fun to use the iron sights and that kind of stuff. I actually like the rifle so much that I went and recently bought a Mini-30 from a friend that was getting rid of his. So I now have the Mini-30, the big brother to this, which if you don't know is chambered in 7.62 by 39. For whatever reason, I always thought they were chambered in 308. They're not, but they're 7.62 by 39. So future video down the road, we'll talk about that Mini-30 that I have. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's a great rifle. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. It's just a good, solid rifle, and it has treated me very well. So if you have a Mini-14 or Mini-30, drop in the comments down below. Let's talk about your experiences with it, what you think of them, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. You know, I'm a sample size of 1, so I'd love to hear what you guys know about it. You know, there's 1,100 of you that are subscribed now, so there's a wide range of experiences and things in there that we could all learn from. So if you have one, or if you've got experience with one, drop it down in the comments down below. And yeah, it's a good rifle. I really like it. It's always been very good to me. So I am a fan of the Mini-14. Business side of the house, thank you all so much for the 1,000 subscribers. We hit that about a month ago in middle of November, and then we kind of blew past it and we're up to 1,100 plus now. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody who has watched, subscribed, commented, liked, any part of that. Like, I appreciate the hell out of it. It has grown bigger than I expected to and a little faster than I hoped for. Like, I really wanted to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, and we hit that, you know, a month and a half early, and we're north of 1,100 subscribers now. So thank you all to everybody who has watched and all that kind of stuff. We really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of your experiences with Mini-14s, Mini-30s, that kind of stuff. Beyond that, thank you all so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.